To the eye, Locust Grove, Oklahoma may seem like an average country town, filled with ranchers, small-town hospitality, and long-life residents. It's the type of town where everyone knows everyone, but even the sleepiest towns have skeletons in their past. Known locally and nationally as the Girl Scout murders, Camp Scott is home to the infamous tragedy. In the early hours of June 13, 1977, as the camp slept, 3 scouts of the Kiowa tent were murdered during a thunderstorm. Lori Farmer, Doris Milner, and Michelle Goose of Broken Bow, Oklahoma, were brutally slain in their tent and placed upon the trail leading to the showers. That morning at around 6 a.m., a counselor walking the trail made the grave discovery. 2 girls were placed together 150 yards from their tent under a tree while still in their sleeping bags, and the other further down the trail. Following the discovery, the remaining campers were evacuated and bused home without explanations. The camp would immediately be shut down permanently. 2 months prior, during training, a young woman had her belongings ransacked and stolen. Left in its place was a startling note vowing that on the first night of camp, 3 scouts would be murdered. The camp director would unfortunately write this off as a prank instead of a warning. During the investigation, law enforcement gathered evidence including fingerprints, shoe prints, and duct tape. They started to believe there might be more than one perpetrator. A key aspect of the investigation is the pallet that held the girls' tent. It appeared to show that the suspects tried to wipe it clean even though it was soaked with blood. The day of the crime, a man found sleeping in his car near the camp was detained, but soon released. Throughout the investigation, the sheriff, the DA, and the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation are caught releasing contradictory statements to the media. This would eventually lead to a media blackout. Soon a Mayes County escapee was sought after as the main suspect because he had grown up a few miles from the camp. Starting in July 1977, a manhunt and multiple rewards are issued for Gene Hart. It wasn't until April 16, 1978, he was found 45 miles from the camp in the home of Sam Pigeon. Hart was arrested and charged with all 3 murders, but in 1979 he was acquitted by a jury for lack of evidence, even though the sheriff was, quote, 1,000% sure of his guilt, unquote. Hart would shortly die of a heart attack while serving consecutive life sentences for previous crimes in Mayes County Jail. Nearly 40 years has passed, leaving the case cold and unsolved. With aging witnesses, a lack of suspects, and poor DNA samples, the 3 young scouts may never find the true justice they deserve. Lori, Michelle, and Doris would be 48, 49, and 50 respectively if their lives weren't cut short. Today, Camp Scott is littered with the past and appears void of life. Scorched trees, abandoned dolls, books, furniture, an empty swimming pool, and run-down buildings are the only occupants of the once lively campground. Walking its trails is like looking through the past. The grounds remain mostly untouched by men, the wilderness taking it back, but even as the walls crumble, the horrible tragedy will forever be etched into its story.